Welcome into your Wednesday edition of Bet. I'm your host, Anita Marks, and we've got a jam-packed show for you. I feel like I say that each and every day. We bring you Bet, but we do. Greg Wyshynski, a.k.a. the Puck Daddy, will join us live at the top of the Raptors, breaking down some hockey action for us. Also, we'll talk to Eric Moody. Let's get into some NBA. And the big story, obviously, today is Draymond Green suspended for Game 3. Warriors will not have him against the Kings. Kendra Andrews will stop in with us to talk about what do the Golden State Warriors do now. But let's bring in Greg Wyshynski, the Puck Daddy. Greg, how you doing, man? Good thing you're not scared of heights, dude. That's you look like you're way up there.
Well, this is where the media sits during these games. We've got a great view of the ice, best seats of the house, and we're very excited for Game 2 for the Bruins and the Panthers tonight.
I love it. All right, let's get to it, and let's go back. You picked the Oilers to win the Western Conference 2 days ago on Daily Wager. You always do a great job on Daily Wager. But they lost. Really big heartbreaker, of course, in overtime in Game 1. A surprise for a lot of us. Do you still like them? They're still favored to win at minus 150. Would you still play that? Or is there something else, maybe a total in this series that you would play? How are you approaching the series now?
Well, I'm sticking with the Oil in this series. They're actually in Game 2, I think the biggest favorite amongst the games tonight. Look, they played really well in Game 1 despite the loss. 62% of the shot attempts, 65% of the high danger scoring chances, and expected goals against at 5-on-5 of under 2. All of the underlying metrics were there. They just didn't win the hockey game. So I'm confident that we're going to see a nice game from the Oilers tonight and hopefully a resurgent game from Connor McDavid, who was pretty quiet in Game 1.
All right, you're in Boston. As we know, the Bruins, they won Game 1 3-1. They've been the favorite pretty much throughout the majority of the season. And you can look at their current series odds right now, and you could play the Bruins to win in 5 at 2-1. Or do you think maybe there's a better bet, maybe a sweep at 3-1?
Listen, I said it was going to be the Bruins in 6 to start the series. I still think that they're going to win. I think it might be 5 would be how I'd play it. Look, the bottom line is this. As long as the Bruins can get the matchup they want with the Alexander Barkov line of the Panthers, the Florida Panthers are in trouble. And in Boston, that means copious amounts of Brad Marchand, Pavel Zacha, and Jake DeBrusk against Barkov. When the action moves to Florida, now they get the last change. They can get Barkov and Carter Verhaeghe away from those guys. I think we might be looking at a gentleman's sweep, 1 game victory in Florida, and then the Bruins take care of it in 5. But I don't think it's going to be a sweep.
Okay, so the theme last night was road teams domination, right? And you were on Daily Wager. You said that you liked the Jets, that they would upset the Golden Knights. You also like the Avalanche, and you like the Devils as well. Are you concerned now, based on what you saw last night in those games, that either one of those two teams might be getting upset?
You know, the Kraken played really well against the Avalanche. I didn't anticipate the Philip Grubauer revenge tour, the former Colorado goalie playing so well against his old team. The Devils game was really interesting. I think that's one where opening night jitters were definitely the biggest factor. They didn't play their game at all. They were overwhelmed defensively by the Rangers and physically by the Rangers. I think of the series that saw the road team win, the Devils might be the one where you could see them turn it around quickly in Game 2. As their coach Lindy Ruff said, the best thing that happened in Game 1 is all those young players now have a game under their belts.
Well, it's interesting. I'm playing the Rangers to win 4-2 in this series, and you could get that at plus 350. Here's the thing, and I know I'm here in New York. I'm not drinking the Blue Rangers Kool-Aid or anything like that. I just think all in all, there are elements of the Rangers that I feel far exceed what the Devils bring to the table, right? In number 1, Shesterkin. They have the better goaltender. Number 2, they have more veteran leadership and more experience. It's not just making it to the playoffs last season. It's how far they went into the playoffs last season. I do believe they have a better defense. Their top 4 have been together. They have more chemistry. Their forwards, okay, I think you could say that's an even draw. The Rangers are better on the power play. With all due respect to the Devils, I do believe that they have better coaching. They've got more depth and that playoff experience. And Greg, when they get into the Garden and that crowd and that home ice, I think they're going to be more electric than what we see in New Jersey. So what are your thoughts on me playing the Rangers to win this series 4-2 at plus 350?
I think my thoughts are to each their own. And by the way, there's going to be a good amount of red in those MSG stands. All those kids that grew up in Jersey rooting for the Devils, they're all day traders now in Manhattan, so they can afford those tickets. But look at this. I think you're looking at a Devils team that was overwhelmed not only by the moment, not only by the intensity of the spotlight, but by the Rangers changing their tactics from what they did in the regular season. A lot more block shots, a lot more chipping the puck in versus carrying the puck. I will give the Devils a game to adjust. I will give their young players a chance to figure out how intense the playoffs can get. And I will give Jack Hughes a moment to not turn the puck over 5 times and realize he has to be quicker with it rather than holding on to it like he did in Game 1.
Okay, we'll see how this all plays out. It will be fun to monitor with you, my friend. Let's take a look at what's going on with the Maple Leafs. Disappointment is their middle name. Are they not, right? After 6 first-round exits last night, not looking good either. They got the skates beat off of them 7-3. They're still a small dog in the series at plus 115. Do you predict another Maple Leafs early exit here, or would you play them with the plus money?
They didn't really inspire much confidence last night, but an important thing happened in Game 1, which is that the Tampa Bay Lightning lost defenseman Eric Chernak to injury. They lost Mikey Esamont to injury, and Victor Hedman, their best defenseman, is questionable for Game 2. I think he's banged up as well. So if you take 3 defensemen out of the equation for the Lightning, that really does change things for the Leafs. Look, they're their worst enemy. The Leafs have to overcome their own demons to win this series, but with the Lightning being as shorthanded as they might be on their blue line, I do think that opens the door for the Leafs to get over this calamitous Game 1 loss and rally to win the series.
Great stuff as always. Really do appreciate it. Enjoy the Bruins game tonight, Greg.
Thanks a lot. See you soon.
We go from the ice to the NBA, the hardwood. We're going to hear from Kendra Andrews in just a second, but big news today, Draymond Green suspended, will not be active and attractive for the Golden State Warriors in Game 3. I really believe there is a track record here, and that is why he got the suspension, right? Like, let's look back. March 2023, technical foul. November 2018, conduct detrimental to the team. 2016, the flagrant foul. A lot of this was on Steven Adams hitting him in the groin, LeBron hitting him in the groin. Heck, not too long ago, we saw him punch his own teammate, Jordan Poole, in the face. With that being said, let's check in with Kendra. Kendra, we're so thrilled to have you on Bet. Thank you so much for joining us, especially because the big news, as we heard this morning, Draymond Green now will be suspended for Game 3 for stomping on Sabonis' chest. I know you haven't had a chance to speak to the team because you're talking to us before you speak to the team, but you've been covering this team. You've got your finger on the pulse so well. How is this team going to respond? Draymond Green not being, as I like to call it, active and attractive defensively. What are they going to do against this King squad?
Yeah, I mean, there's no one answer, right, for what Draymond does defensively. No one person can replace that. In terms of, they also have to replace a starter, right? So they could turn to a guy like Jonathan Kuminga, who has that athleticism, but they haven't been playing him very much in this series. He has been struggling. They can turn to a guy like Dante DiVincenzo, who was a starter when Andrew Wiggins was away. They could turn to Jordan Poole. But as you said, it's that defense, right? No one guy on this team can make up for that. So the Warriors, they're going to have to figure out how they can come together collectively, rely on a guy like Gary Payton II. Having Andrew Wiggins back is huge. Play, Jermichael Green a little bit more, and they're hoping that that can at least help stop some of the bleeding that will occur from not having Draymond out there. You know, it's been really interesting, or maybe I should say surprising, right? With all the
experience that the Golden State Warriors have had in the postseason, I'm looking at this series and I'm saying, wait a minute, it looks like the Kings are the ones coming in with more experience. They're coming in with more swag, more physicality, more poise. What have the Golden State Warriors said about this matchup? Are they just as surprised as how comfortable the Kings look and feel in this situation?
Well, I don't think that they're surprised. You know, the Warriors understand just how good of a team the Kings are and how good of players they have, especially in De'Aaron Fox and in Domantas Sabonis. I mean, Malik Beasley has just been incredible for Sacramento coming off of the bench. But the Warriors are aware, look, they have been playing really, really well, and the Warriors acknowledge that they also have been getting frazzled. Stephen Curry said after the last game, look, both teams really like to play quickly, but we, the Warriors, have to toe that fine line between playing quickly and with pace, that organized chaos that we like, but not let it get out of hand or out of sorts with those turnovers. The Warriors just need to take a step, rely on that experience that you just said that they have, and realize that they've played this way before and they've done it wildly successfully. And that's what they're going to try and focus on heading into Game 3. And they're excited to be back at Chase Center, and hopefully they're hoping they can feed off some of their fans here in San Francisco.
I want to ask you about Harrison Barnes, right? Wearing a different uniform now, used to play for the Golden State Warriors, won a championship with the Golden State Warriors. Has he discussed with you, how this series feels to him? I would imagine a little bit more personal, considering that he knows the guys on the opposite side of the court and he played for that organization at one point in time.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, of course, there's going to be those extra feelings when you're going against your old teammates and your old friends. But really, between these two teams, there are just so many connections, whether it's Harrison Barnes' time with the Warriors, whether it's Mike Brown, of course, being a coach for this team. Other coaches on the Kings have worked with the Warriors, Leandro Barbosa, Luke Laux. But both teams have made it very clear, when they step on this court, there are no soft feelings toward each other. It is all competitiveness and extremely hardworking. They want to beat each other so much. And sometimes, really, when you know someone on the other side, when you're friends with the other side, you want to beat them even more. And so Harrison Barnes is really just sticking up for his team, Sacramento, and he'll acknowledge his relationships with the Warriors later.
Kendra, one last question. I know you've got a press conference to get to, and that is just a big picture here, right? The Kings coming in, a lot of people feel they're playing with house money. Not a lot of expectation coming in. Meanwhile, for the Golden State Warriors, this very well could be the end of, dare I say, dynasty, the era of Curry, Clay, and Draymond Green. Do you think they're feeling a lot more pressure in this series because this big three very well could be coming to an end at the end of this season?
The Warriors aren't thinking about that right now. And actually, Stephen Curry told our Anita Andrews a couple days ago before Game 1, the only reason why they think about these things is because people are asking them, is this the last dance? Is this the last time around for you? He said, if it wasn't for that, we're not focused on that. We're just trying to get another championship. We here as a group, we're going to keep going until it just happens that we stop. They feel that they have an opportunity here to go on another run. Right now, they have a lot of work to do to turn this series around, and that right now is what they're focused on.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Kendra, thank you again for spending some time with us today on Bet. Appreciate it. All right, now we bring in Eric Moody. Eric, how you doing? We need to, there are so many NBA topics here we need to dive into. We just heard from Kendra. Let's start right there. This series, always the Warriors were favored, right, from the start. Now the Kings minus 170 to win this series. To me, a little disrespectful, I would say, considering all they need to do is win 2 more games out of the next 5. But did you think the Kings would win before the series started? And do you think it now?
All right, I will be candid. I'll be candid, Anita. I did not think that the Kings would win this series before it started. So you look at Sacramento during the regular season. They were one of the top offensive teams in the league. They ranked first in points scored per 100 possession. My biggest concern with the Kings heading into the postseason was really their defense. Like, they ranked 25th in points allowed per 100 possessions heading into the postseason. And when you have a first-round matchup against a potent offensive team like the Golden State Warriors, I must admit, I did have some concerns, and I felt like they would overwhelm them, but that hasn't been the case. The Warriors are now down 0-2 in this series, and I would say they are swimming in uncharted waters right now. This is the first time that this nucleus, of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and also Klay Thompson have been down 0-2 in a series. And now they're going to game 3, which is a must-win game, obviously, without Draymond Green. So I do have some concerns. I want to leave you with the stat before passing it back to you, is that I think there's a strong chance that the Kings do end up winning the series, because around 93% of teams that have like a 2-0 lead end up winning the series. So I have some concerns.
Well, I'll go one step further. First things first, I think this suspension is very excessive. First of all, you had Sabonis who grabbed Draymond's foot. Not to say that Sabonis deserved his chest to be stomped on by Draymond Green. That's not what I mean. But he got that second, flagrant was thrown out of the game. As we know, the Golden State Warriors lost. By the NBA making this decision, Eric, it's pretty much, they've tipped the balance. So you're saying the Kings are going to win. I'll go one step further, dude. I think they're going to sweep. I just think there's so much that Draymond brings to the equation here in regard to how this team plays in tempo, their transition offense, the physicality, the leadership. No Draymond Green. This team, by the way, negative 10 points per 100 possessions. So I'll go one step further. I do believe the Kings are going to sweep. If I had a broom, I would use it as a prop. But with that being said, the most common number of games to play is 7 at plus 120 in the series. Do you think the series goes to 7 games? Or are you backing me in my sweep? Not that I have a crystal ball, but my prediction.
Well, you know what? I am backing you in your prediction. I just don't believe it'll be a sweep, but I don't think the series is going 7 games. I think it could actually go 6 games, because this is a Warriors team that is battle tested. They've won championships. They've played so many minutes, so many games together. And I do believe that they'll rally and win some games. I would say as far as game 3, not having Green out there is going to hurt tremendously, but I think they're going to come out focused and really try to get the home crowd involved, especially with Green out, and really limit the turnovers. I know Kendra mentioned that, like the turnovers that they've had. They've been lackadaisical during certain segments of the game, and they've really made some mental errors from what I've watched on film. And I just think it's wise not to underestimate this Kings team. Now, if you look past the All-Star break, the only other team that had a net rating higher than the Kings on the road was the Philadelphia 76ers. Pretty good company to be mentioned with. I would say if the Kings win game 3, I think it's possible that they'll close out this series in 6 games, but it's going to be a different animal if they end up winning game 3. And I may be more aligned with you in regards to a sweep if that scenario happens.
For those out there that might be thinking, like, wait a minute, these are the Golden State Warriors. They've got a lot more experience. They're heading back to the Bay Area. Maybe you want to play Steph Curry to be the MVP in the finals right now. You can get that at 14-1. Could you persuade somebody to do that, Eric?
Oh, wow. To persuade on Steph Curry. If they end up getting past this series, right? If they end up getting past this, I would say, I don't know. It's really a big if for me. I think if they end up getting past this series, the only way that they would get to the NBA Finals is if Steph Curry delivers like an unbelievable performance, and he played well during the regular season. And this is a guy that averaged 29.3 points and 6.3 assists. But if they do get past this series, I keep saying if because it's not looking good right now. He is going to have to really lead this team to the promised land. And if he's able to do that and get to the NBA Finals and say delivers a dominant performance like he has so far this season, I would kind of consider him or bet on him as the MVP.
All right, let's switch our attention to what's going on with the Suns and the Clippers, right? Man, if anybody tuned into that game last night, talk about Jekyll and Hyde, tale of two stories, first half, second half for the Suns. The Suns were favored before the series began. Now, of course, after winning last night, they went from minus 125 to minus 255. That's a lot of juice. So if you don't want to lay that type of juice, maybe the most popular bet you can make is that they finish the Suns winning in 7 at plus 240. Is that something that would interest you, Eric?
I would say it does. One thing that's been I would say that's really impressed me about the Clippers is that like Kawhi Leonard really elevates his game like during like the postseason, and he's like a silent assassin out there. But I think not having Paul George on this Clippers team really hurts the Clippers in this series. But they're not going down without a fight, so I kind of consider it like a pendulum. It's going to swing back and it's going to swing forth. But I just look at the Suns team with how they're constructed. You got Kevin Durant, you got Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, you've got Chris Paul. They've got too much talent really for the Clippers to keep up with, in my opinion. I think it's only so much that Kawhi Leonard and Russell Westbrook can do. So it's just going to be very tough to overcome. And the scary thing is when you look at the Suns, like this group of players, I'm like they're still getting used to playing, with one another. But I don't think that the Clippers are going down without a fight. So I buy into it.
So it's really interesting. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't look at series spreads, okay, as a series bet. But if you believe that the Clippers are going to go down with a fight, you could actually play the Clippers plus 1.5 in the series at minus 125. Is that something that you would do here?
Yeah, I actually would back the series, or back the Suns, to win this series in that scenario if we do find ourselves like in a Game 7. It really comes down to two things, which I'm going to kind of reiterate myself here, but Kevin Durant would really be the reason why the Suns would win the series. One thing about Durant that was really fascinating, I know he missed time with an injury, but if you look at some of the numbers, he finished the regular season with a shooting split of 56% from the field, 40.4% from beyond the arc, and nearly 92% from the free throw line. That really makes him the first player in NBA history to finish as a 55, 40, and 90 player. And I'm like, you've got Durant there. He's dominant. But again, the Suns also have Devin Booker. Let's not forget about him. He's a really great player. Chris Paul and also DeAndre Ayton. The second thing really comes down to Paul George. I cannot stress enough how his absence negatively impacts the Clippers in this series. And I know there may be some out there, but he could still return and play. That's true, but here's the situation in the scenario. Even if he returns, his game conditioning will not be where it needs to be. And also it may take a game or two for him to get acclimated to playoff style basketball. It's a lot different than the regular season. But, I'm backing the Suns here if it does get to a Game 7.
Yeah, I do believe the Suns are going to win this series. I said it on Daily Wager on Monday, and sure enough, them winning last night holds true. But I'm watching them play, Eric, and there's just something missing. Like Devin Booker, he's just been 0 for 100 from behind the arc. He's just not shooting the ball well from behind the arc. Granted, his mid-range jumper is his wheelhouse, and he's been doing well there. We saw Ayton do that. Chris Paul, he seems off. I just feel like these guys really, because KD got injured, there's just a lack of chemistry there. So I do have them beating the Clippers, but I don't have them winning the championship. Their odds to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy is plus 475. Is that worth a sprinkle for you? How competitive do you think they're going to be past this series?
No, it's worth the sprinkle. I kind of look at the series between the Suns and the Clippers. It's kind of like a tune-up. They are kind of figuring out how to best work, together as a unit. But I think it's definitely worth the sprinkle. Here's why. It's just difficult for me looking at the makeup of this team to bet against. Again, think Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, and the other role players that they have. And you mentioned some points about mid-range jumpers and beyond the arc, triples or whatnot. But one thing that was very interesting in Game 2, the Suns starters scored 110 points. Their most in a playoff game since 2006 back in the Western Conference Finals. Furthermore, you look at the Suns, they shot 71% directly off passes, their highest percentage in a game over the last 3 postseasons. And this is a team, when I watch them on film, look at the stats, that's really built for postseason success, even in a competitive Western Conference. So to bring all that together and answer your question, I would go ahead and put a sprinkle on the Suns, a little dash, right?
Just a little sprinkle of some kind of seasoning. All right, we talked about the MVP odds. This is a different way of looking at how you could wager on the NBA playoffs. We talked about Curry. Since you like the Suns, how about KD? He's plus 550 to win the MVP. What say you, Eric?
Yeah, if I'm looking at the MVP award, I'm even trying to compare, should I bet on Steph Curry, those odds, or Kevin Durant. I really like Kevin Durant to win the MVP if the Suns do make it to the finals and win. Here's why. They made the big trade, big splash. I'm like, it's really championship or bust for this team. You look at Durant on his bookcase or trophy shelf, whatever he has at home. Like, he already has 2 Finals MVPs trophies and also has that on his resume. I would say Durant, is healthy. He's playing for a contender, and he's surrounded by other playmakers, so he's well positioned for success. And really, all the teams in the Western Conference, talk about how competitive the Western Conference is. That is true, but all those teams have areas of opportunities that can be exploited, by the right team. And I think the Suns are one of those teams. And I'll leave you with this, Anita, that forwards have won 11 of the last 12 Finals MVP. So I like those odds. I like Durant. I would bet him to win MVP. I would bet on Durant over Steph Curry if you made me choose.
Listen, I'm not going to argue anybody who wants to sprinkle on Tatum, Embiid. I have Denver winning the championship, and I think because Jokic is going to get slighted in regard to the MVP, I do believe Embiid is going to win the MVP. You can get Jokic to win the NBA championship MVP at plus 950. I think that's how I'm going to roll. Eric, always great having you talking NBA on Bet. Really do appreciate it. Enjoy the games tonight, my friend.
Absolutely, you too. Until next time.
You got it. As always, we like to end Bet with Before I Let You Go. So much talk about hockey and NBA. Obviously, they're both in the postseason, but there's still some golf to be played, and it all kicks off tomorrow. So time for a little bit par 3 for you. It's the Zurich Open taking place in TPC, Louisiana. Very interesting. It's a 2-man event. There are 80 teams of 2 men. 33 teams make the cut. Round 1 and round 3 is best ball. Round 2 and round 4 is alternate shots. And it's really interesting because a lot of these golfers, a lot of these guys on the PGA Tour, they pick their best friends, they pick guys they know because team chemistry is so important in winning this. So who do I have winning? I'm going to go chalk here, and it's Schauffele and Cantlay, and you can get that at 3-1. But here's the thing. Hold off. I wouldn't make the bet right now. Why? If they don't come into Friday or Saturday at the top of the leaderboard, chances are those odds are going to get more attractive. Maybe they fall to 5-1. Maybe they fall to 8-1. That is when I would jump on this. So I wouldn't play it immediately, but I do believe that Schauffele and Cantlay win. Why? These guys are best buds. They vacation together with their families. They were Ryder Cup and President Cup partners. Both are in great form coming in. And Data Golf has them as a 19% chance of winning this bad boy. So I do like Schauffele and Cantlay to win. Top 5, I'm going to go with Sam Burns and Billy Horschel, and that's at plus 260. I'm also going to play them across the board to win at 14-1. Again, top 5 at plus 260, top 10 at plus 120. Why? They came in second last year, tied for 4th in 2001. Burns is an LSU grad. As I said, this is taking place in Louisiana. He putts great on Bermuda. Billy Horschel, his season so far, nothing to write home about, but his first PGA Tour win was right here on this track back in 2013. And he absolutely loves this format. Number 3, my third play, and this is a top 10, I'm going with the Kim brothers, okay? I'm talking about Siwoo Kim and Tom Kim. And that's at plus 110 to finish in the top 5. Also, again, I'm going to play them across the board. 14-1 to win. Also, plus 260 to finish in the top 5. This is an interesting trend. Since this type of format has been created, a team from another country has been in contention on Friday. And they're Korean. So this is Team Korea. So I'm definitely going to play that trend. Both have won this season on tour, and Tom Kim is 4th in bogey avoidance. So you gotta love that. So those are the 3 teams that I'm going to be playing heading into the Zurich Open. Now, some other plays that I like to finish in the top 10. Give me Theegala and Sue at plus 175. Theegala has had a phenomenal season. He is going to win eventually on tour this season. I'm just waiting for it. Montgomery and Kitayama, both of them UNLV teammates. So they know each other extremely well. And last but not least, to finish in the top 20, give me Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin. They are Team Canada, my friends, and you can get them at +110. So this is going to be a really fun tournament to watch. Just, something out of the ordinary. Normally we see these guys, obviously golf, an individual sport, but it's really fun now that they make this into some type of team sport where they're playing with their best buds. Anyway, I want to thank Greg Wyshynski, as well as Eric Moody, getting you ready for all things NHL and NBA. Enjoy the games tonight, and we'll be back with you on Friday. We'll see you then.